A midlife crisis is more than just a cultural stereotype. It's a real psychological struggle that can surface between the ages of 40 and 60. Often triggered by aging, loss, or unmet expectations, it can actually lead individuals to question their identity, make impulsive choices, or abruptly abandon long term commitments. While not officially classified yet as a mental illness, the emotional and relational fallout is very real, especially for the spouses and families left behind. This podcast gives voice to those living through the aftermath, exposing the hidden pain, and seeking accountability, healing, and understanding. Thank you for joining us today on MLC Bomb Drop and Beyond. The stories and events discussed in this podcast are for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or professional advice. Any names, locations, or identifying details have been changed to protect privacy. Any similarities to actual persons, living or dead, or real events are purely coincidental. The information presented on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. Always consult with a qualified expert regarding any decisions related to your specific situation. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the podcast creators. Hey, Bomb Squad. Thanks for joining us today. So, in this next story that we're going to hear from Jenny. And, I recorded this with her, and then I woke up at like 2 or 3 in the morning, um, realizing, wow, she talked a lot about her husband feeling unappreciated and controlled. And it's like things that we wouldn't even realize, I think, in every day that somebody might feel is controlling. But anyway, so you'll hear about this in the episode. But it woke me up at like 3 in the morning, and I thought to myself, oh my God, I probably did not show my husband enough appreciation, and I think he interpreted a lot of things as controlling. And he even said that at some points. So, which were obviously I wasn't trying to be controlling, but it was interpreted that way and felt that way by him. And obviously that was what matters to somebody. So, we're going to talk about that in today's episode. Chronic feelings of being unappreciated and a pattern of avoiding confrontation, especially over many years, can contribute to the emotional conditions that increase the risk of a midlife crisis. So, apparently, when someone feels consistently undervalued, like even in marriage, family, or work, it chips away at their sense of self worth. And over time, they may internalize resentment and develop a belief that their needs and desires don't matter. As a matter of fact, I have a feeling, I think my husband had said that at one point. Um, at midlife, this can explode into a crisis of identity. And also, this is super important. So if you're in a situation in a relationship, don't bottle up your emotions. Don't avoid conflict. They say people who avoid confrontation often suppress their true feelings just to keep the peace. But what happens, it may, that may work out okay for today or for tomorrow in the short term by avoiding confrontation. But what happens, it leads to emotional buildup, a lack of authentic expression, and eventually emotional detachment. And instead of communicating your dissatisfaction or pain over time, it all erupts seemingly out of nowhere, but it's been building. That silent buildup becomes a sudden extreme behavior, which results in an affair, sudden discard, quitting a job, impulsive purchases, stuff like that. So when that reflection is mixed with years of unspoken resentment and unmet needs, it becomes a pressure cooker. People who never voiced concerns earlier may overcorrect by making reckless, selfish, or hurtful decisions, trying to reclaim lost power or identity. And you guys have heard that a lot on here. A lot of spouses say it came out of nowhere and they never argued. And now we start to realize, wow, maybe there were no disagreements or no arguing because what the MLCer was probably, a people pleaser and avoiding confrontation, and we do know that a lot of, folks in MLC have the avoidant attachment style, so this makes a lot of sense. Really, being in a MLC situation is really like you look back and you put 20 years of your life, it's like putting together like a puzzle, you know? But you being strong did not make them leave. You having ambition did not emasculate them. You being successful did not break the marriage. It was their unhealed wounds that did. Because when a person has suppressed childhood trauma, they often don't know how to handle love that is secure, steady, or emotionally mature. They mistake calm for criticism. They see your independence as rejection, and they twist your boundaries into betrayal. And if they have never done the work to heal their false self, the mask they wear to feel like they're enough starts to collapse on the inside, especially during midlife. So guys, as you're going to hear from Jenny today, um, you're going to notice that she touches upon some things that she learned. And I think it comes down to everybody wants to feel needed, not just loved. And for some men, especially those raised to tie their worth to, their career, success, leadership, they need to feel like they matter because they want to provide something meaningful. And in this situation, I know in my personal situation, with my career becoming successful, I'm sure my husband probably felt that he didn't matter. And, you're going to hear from Jenny, also a business owner, just like her husband. They each have their own businesses. And, she's super independent, which she acknowledges. And sometimes in long relationships, especially when the wife becomes the emotional or financial backbone, the husband can begin to feel unnecessary. And ladies, please know it's not your fault. That's something to be proud of that you're a business owner or successful in whatever career path you have, but it's something to be aware of. Letting a man lead, even in small little ways, doesn't mean you're giving up your strength, but you're like making space for him to feel strong too. Appreciation isn't about ego stroking, it's about emotional security. Because at the end of the day, when people don't feel seen, needed, or appreciated, they drift. Or worse, like in midlife crisis, they run. And it's often they're not running towards someone better, they're running towards someone who simply mirrored back their importance, probably why they affair down. So just think about that, ladies, and gentlemen, but especially for the ladies. And we're gonna talk to Jenny right now. So here you go. Today I am with Jenny. She is gonna tell us what's going on with her story, and so Jenny, take it away. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. I'm pretty excited to be here. And Trina, I kind of wanted to start with a huge thank you to you. I was super excited when I found out that you were going to do the podcast, and I got on right away and started listening to them all. I did get behind, but I'm going to get caught up. But um,
Oh well, thank you very much.
I just think it's so helpful to be able to hear stories. I think, or there's so many the same and so many different. Um, But like you say all the time, the similarities that we don't realize are there, and I think it's just reassuring. So thank you. Thank you
Oh,
for doing that.
thank you. I wish we didn't have to do it at all.
Absolutely,
I wish there was no such thing
absolutely.
as midlife crisis and discard and bomb drop. I wish it was all a nightmare, like it
I
is.
know the new terminologies that you have to learn
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, that it's even a real thing because I think we all start with it's they buy the car, it's just almost kind of funny until you're living it. And I also like how you start that it's not yet, put into one of the mental health categories. And I hope that it is because, at least in my life, I'm 5 years in, it is definitely a mental health crisis. So,
Wow. So
yeah.
I'm 2 years in, and,
Yeah.
I know everybody on here is at different spots. So tell us
Mhm.
what started to happen in your situation a couple years ago.
Sure. So I know everybody likes the bomb drop term, and honestly, I'm not so good with what happened when, but I would say maybe mine was around August of 2020. Um, he officially moved out September of 2020. And before that, like leading up to the bomb drop, um, we were super busy people. I had my own business for forever, 30 years, I guess. He started his own business 3 years prior to bomb drop, and from the day he opened his, it just took off. It was crazy. You know, you're supposed to have the couple of years to kinda get used to things. His just went crazy. So, hyper busy. We sat on boards, uh, 2 daughters. One of them was in every sport you could think of, travel sports. Our communication was never very good because it was all about where do we have to be and when do we have to get there and who's driving and how we're gonna eat and stuff like that. So not good not good communication for a husband and a wife. We were doing really good as parents, I think. Admittedly, we would both say we were doing good as parents. Uh Regarding his starting up his business, I knew how hard it was going to be for him to start a business. I don't think he did. And me being the super great wife that I was, I knew at that time that I should step back because he was going to have to work a lot. He was gonna have to work late, he was gonna have to work weekends, so I thought I was doing this amazing thing by not being the wife that was like, "Why aren't you home yet?" And, "No, you should not be working weekends," and those kinds of things. I just knew that came along with it, and I was being super supportive. He, I guess, took that the opposite way. I wasn't paying enough attention. Even though we had talked about it, he still took it that way. He just he didn't let me know that until several years later. Um, the whole story is different when you're looking back at it too, right? As you can realize or see things that you didn't get at the time. So anyway, also this is COVID, and that was extremely difficult. My business required us to follow every single one of those rules and regulations that were coming out of the federal government, the state, the health departments. We're scared of everything. And my husband's business, it was more like, it's just a joke. We don't have to do anything. And that put us at polar opposites. So within our family, that was a big struggle, along with just the fact that COVID was a struggle. And in and along with COVID, I think that's why I started noticing some bigger changes that now I see his MLC, like, he started working out every morning, 5 AM. They had a COVID group, so, like, you weren't supposed to have your workout groups, but they had one, it could only be those people. New people couldn't come in, and sometimes they had to actually take all their equipment outside into the parking lot, so they'd all show up even earlier to do those kinds of things, which, jumping a little bit ahead, but that's where the OW came into play. OW, horse face, I don't everybody calls it something different too, but, so leading up, it like, I guess you could say there were some struggles, but honestly, I thought we were just clicking along really well, and other people I hear this all the time too from the stories that you have the perfect marriage and everybody else is idolizing you, and we had one gentleman come and he just wanted to know our secret because he was getting ready to propose to his now second wife, and yeah. So, anyway, I see it now, but I didn't see it then, I guess, which is frustrating. But I would say COVID, that was the final straw for us. That's what broke us. Also, I guess a friend of his committed suicide at that time, and this just recently, like a month ago, is when he told me that that was probably when he, in his own mind, really said, "Okay, that's it."
Wow.
So 5 years later, he's just telling me that, which is interesting. Because in the beginning, it was, "I've been unhappy for 5 years," and then a little bit later, it was, "I've been unhappy for 10 years." Then it was 15 years, then it was our whole marriage, and now it's back to 5 years again, so that that commonality that everybody seems to have. Um,
So August 2020,
yep,
say bomb drop, and you said he moved out the next month, so September of 2020? So
yes.
where did he go? Did he move in with the AP and
No, he did not. He moved we're in the country, so he moved, like, 4 miles away. He found, like, somebody renting out their basement kinda deal. He stayed there for, like, a year. He has never lived with her or had any interest in living with her, so that's a little different maybe than some people. So it wasn't to find a complete replacement for me. His was always, "Do I wanna be married or do I not wanna be married?" So, she has represented not being married. That's kinda where she falls in.
it sounds like are they still together?
Uh, that's a hard question. That everything is a roller coaster. So it
And
comes and it goes. It's,
and he's not a
he
vanisher. It sounds like,
no, no, he is, uh it literally is in and out, up and down, and he does not mix us. So he's got that, devil and angel on the shoulders, so he'll kinda come towards home, and then, the other shoulder will say, "Are you sure that's what you wanna do? Because, it was really hard for you to leave, and, if you go home, then you lose all your freedom and blah, blah, blah." So then he'll run and go the other direction, and then the other shoulder will say, "Are you sure that's what you wanna do? Because, you love your wife and your family and blah, blah, blah." So when he's leaning one direction or the other, he shuts out the opposite one. So at least he has some kinda dignity in that way. But it was like when I was thinking about the podcast and how do you put your story together and how do you put 5 years together of a roller coaster, and, what does make mine a little bit different, and maybe that is one that it was never about completely replacing me, but definitely about, wanting freedom and wanting to be able to make your own decisions about money or where you want to go and what you want to do, and not having to feel responsible for me in particular as the wife. Um, our relationship is always good. Our relationship is better now than it was possibly our whole marriage. We communicate better now. We get along better now, but when it's good, it's really, really great, and then he gets scared and he runs, and for a long time, the good parts would get a little better, and then when he'd run, the bad would get worse until finally, like, it couldn't get any better, and it also couldn't get any worse without taking extremes. So, either coming home or flat out getting a divorce. So now it's a little bit stabilized that way, but it's still the same roller coaster. You're just not jumping off one end or the other. And this same he'll say, "I can't be married," and now I just ignore it when he says it because he just flips around again
right.
later. And, big thing we've had big things. Our daughter finished her senior year in high school, and she graduated from college, and we have a
During this
grandson.
whole time.
Yes, I mean, huge life changes. When it happened, I thought we were getting ready for, empty nesters. Our daughter was going into her senior year in high school, but still you're starting to think about everybody being gone and it's gonna be your turn and stuff like that, and now, yeah, finished high school, she just graduated from college. We have a grandson who's 2.5 years old. Everything's moving along except, like, he and I. he and I are, like, stuck in this horrible limbo of not really being able to move forward. In so you're doing things, you're living, but not really doing all the things maybe that you really wanna be doing, which is frustrating. And then I guess I also kinda look back, um, I look back at the 5 years kind of in different stages because, like, what keeps you going, right? What keeps you here? And I do look at it stages, and the first one just being that absolute utter devastation, shock, um, on the couch crying all the time, paralyzed, those kinds of things. We did see 3 different counselors there, so we couldn't find a good one, and I would be in that camp of marriage counselors, don't do it, because at least the ones we had, they do sit you on a couch and they basically pin you against each other.
Mhm.
That that just was not good. But anyway, then kind of went into this weird what I call for myself, I call it my window sticker stage, which is, how like a new car has a window sticker on it, and it's like, there's the all the regular features that everybody has, and then here's all the extra features. So I'm like trying to sell myself all the time of, but I have this and I have this and our life is this and our kids are this and you're going to be missing out on this and please buy me, please choose me, kind of thing over and over and
When he was still at home?
sorry.
When he was still at home?
No, when he was gone. So
Oh.
I should back up to that because the first year, over year actually, he was around all the time. He was at family meals, he was at family events. I mentioned that our daughter was hyper involved in sports and school. He was at all of them. She did travel sports, so we traveled many weekends. Um, I did a lot of scorekeeping and stuff, so I would be at them ahead. He would show up, he'd kiss the top of my head, he'd sit down next to me, he'd hold my hand. Um, no one else knew, including my family, for a year. They had no idea. And I finally had to tell them because my brother lives overseas and he was coming to stay with us for a summer. So I had to tell people. Otherwise, nobody had any idea. He was around all the time, all the time.
And he would act like a loving husband in front of everybody?
Yes, absolutely.
Huh.
And he still does.
Oh, really? He
He
still
still
does?
always has. Yeah. Uh-huh. If anyone saw us ever at any point in the last 5 years, you would have no idea. He's very loving and very attentive, and yeah, he
And
is,
you're
which
still married?
which is very confusing for me. I
And
have
you're
to
still
say.
married?
Yes, we
Still
are.
married. And,
Mhm.
does he bring the girlfriend to anything?
No, she's never around, ever.
And did others even though he was, outwardly like a good husband and stuff, did others notice? Did the girls start to notice a change in his personality or
So I think that just before he moved out, our oldest daughter she had moved out. She had been gone for a little while and she's super close to her dad. She's technically my stepdaughter, but she had been with us since she was 3 full time. So the one still living at home, I think she would say that like the last 6 months before he moved out, she definitely noticed the same things I was noticing. He was super sensitive and those same things, but the workouts all the time. So a little bit different and a little bit like what the heck's wrong with dad? But nothing huge. Unfortunately, the oldest daughter found out about the AP before I did. Um, I guess I still don't know exactly how that happened. I well, because of that COVID thing, and they had their group activities once a month. I was actually invited to one of those before they became a thing, and I did not go. So our daughter went instead. So they met each other at that time. Um, but my husband, they were not a thing at that time. So you know how the kids have to be Facebook friends then with every single person that they meet?
Right.
Yeah, I think so that was there. I don't know how she figured out exactly that when there became a relationship, but my husband, he really put her in a bad spot, and our oldest just was informed of way too much, way more than she needed to know. Um, I feel really bad for her, actually, because she could call her dad and say, "Hey, what you doing?" And he could say, "Oh, mom and I are da 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 da." Or she could call and say, "Hey, what you doing?" And he could say, "Well, the AP and I are doing da 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 da," just so nonchalantly, and that's really taken a toll on her
Was she the one
mentally.
to tell you about the AP?
No, uh, oddly, well, I kind of started to figure things out again when you're looking back.
Mhm.
I kinda started to figure things out. I really, really, really trusted my husband. I really did. And with him being around all the time and anyway, things happened and I started to kind of distrust. But the counselor that we had at the time accidentally sent me something via email that had it in there. And that's how I officially found out was by reading an
Was it
email
supposed to
that he
be
did not mean to send me. Mhm. But the email was about how they were breaking up for the umpteenth time, I guess. So,
mm,
yeah. So that's been turmoil for 5 years too. She
yeah.
just sits around and waits every time. But so anyway, yeah, doing my window sticker phase. And then in May of 2020, I made another big mistake. We were having kind of a issue, and I said the words, "So, are you trying to tell me that you want a divorce?" Because he'd never said the word, never said the word. So all he had to do was nod his head. I said it, and he nodded his head. So don't ever do that. Don't give him the words yourself. And that um that was a big moment. That was this seems to be real and turned pretty ugly. It was also my moment of where it was like, holy crap, uh, I'm, I need to figure out what I'm going to do, or I'm going to lose my husband. I'm going to lose my family. And I need to start getting serious about this whole thing. So I, found Laura Doyle, I think was who I first found, and with her intimacy skills and stuff, randomly found a podcast, and I couldn't tell you which one. She's got lots of them, but that podcast, was like this light bulb that was like, "Oh my gosh, that's me. I'm awful. I got a lot of work to do. I gotta get on it right now." I gotta not be this controlling person that I am. I gotta figure out how to say thank you. I gotta figure out how to be respectful. I gotta figure out how to receive things. I gotta be a better listener. It just like hit me like a brick. And so that whole process was really, really good. I signed up for some of her coaching, which for me was it did not fit with me very well. Um, but definitely she had a lot of good stuff for me that I took in, and I think for about 6 weeks, I just learned as much as I could. Also, some Allison Armstrong was in there, which they have some similar stuff. And I hadn't seen my husband really at all in that time. So 6 weeks. And
Can I
um Yeah.
You know what, Jenny? Um, I had written down August 2020 was your bomb drop, and then you
Mhm.
said May 2020 was when you said the word divorce. Did I get the year wrong? Was it 21?
2022.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, May
I
2020.
I might have said it wrong.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's okay. And
Um,
then is May 2022 when you started listening to the Laura Doyle and everything?
yes.
Oh, okay, okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that
Um,
thanks. I was just trying to make sure I got it all correct.
yeah. So yes, that's when I just was really ingesting all of that, and, a tree fell in our yard, and I couldn't find anybody to clean it up, and, I told our oldest daughter, who told dad, and dad said he would come to clean it up, and he did, and I'm like, "Okay, this is maybe my one and only shot to see how this stuff works," and I he told me he was coming, and I said, "Okay, I'll be ready to help," and then I said, I'm like, "Oh, wait, um, I should not assume that you want me to be out there with you, so if you would like me to help, just let me know." And he said he did, so we did this work together. I did simple things like I made sure that I walked behind him just a step or two, because normally I lead and just walk behind a step or two. I let him make all the decisions. I When he spoke, I did not interrupt because I'm very good at that. Um, and we cleaned up that tree, and then he wanted to clean up some other stuff, so we did that, and then we had dinner, and then we stayed and chatted for a while, and he ended up, being home for, like, 5 hours, and I could feel the difference myself. I could totally see a difference in him, and that was amazing to me, absolutely amazing, and so that was definitely a switch. From that moment, that was a switch. So that was pretty cool. Um, and he acknowledged it too. Acknowledged that he could tell a difference. Because also he goes, "People don't change, people don't change, people don't change." And that's what my intent was. I needed to change. And the Laura Doyle, if people aren't familiar with her, it's a lot of you need to change yourself, and changing yourself and being the better person yourself will just sort of automatically change the other person. And it does. It genuinely does. So, let's see, I guess, and then, there's definitely the part where he noticed. So we went along, me keep learning, me keep changing, him keep changing based on me changing, and our communication getting better and our interactions getting better, but still the roller coaster. Still it would get really good, and still he would run away, and still it would get really good. Still
And
it would come back to, "I just can't do this," and
was he still living in somebody's basement, or had he moved somewhere else?
he did move, a neighbor actually of ours, he went to Florida for a while, so my husband sort of watched his house for many months. Now he does have his own apartment that he's had for a couple years, and that is in a neighboring town, basically, um, and works right next to the AP, which that's a whole whole 'nother thing. She's just way too accessible. Let's see, where was I? Uh, oh, the last part, I guess, he is now
Wait,
with his
I'm gonna go sorry, I'll go back to because you had, like, 5 stages, I think you said, and May 2022, I'm gonna call that maybe the Laura Doyle stage, sort of, like, coincided with mentioning
yeah,
divorce for the first time, and then
fixing myself, yes.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Just, like, working on myself,
Oh, working
figure
on
figuring out myself, yeah.
let me ask you, do you did you feel resentment at all on working on yourself? I mean, you're not the one that is having an AP and, all this, yeah,
Such a good
a lot of people
question.
would feel like,
Yeah.
why should you be the one working on yourself, quote, unquote, you know?
You
But I can
know,
see now the way you
um,
described that.
I I think I recognize so many things in myself really within that first podcast.
Uh-huh.
that I did not, because I just knew there were so many things I really could work on for my I mean, we all do, right? But I definitely had some things I needed to change, and I was happy to do that because it was obvious it would make me a better person. Um, Now, later on, I was definitely feeling some resentment because it felt really stagnant, and there's always room to work on things, but that I was starting to feel like, okay, I have really worked on this, and not much is happening, and I'm feeling resentment because you're not doing anything, but now he is. So that sort of changed things around again, which would bring us to the last stage.
Wait, wait. I don't even have stage 4. What's 4?
So 4, well, I don't know if I said 4 or 5. I guess I never actually counted them. But I guess that other the in between would just be the continual maybe working on myself, him noticing, and just our relationship changing according to that, maybe. You can
And
give
you
it a
said
name. You can give it
oh,
a name.
okay. And you mentioned earlier that he noticed how you had changed.
Yes.
I have 2
Yeah.
questions about that. When you say you changed and you consciously made note to walk behind him and, let him lead and all that kind of stuff, did you feel at all like you were having to squash your personality or be fake or was it just more like you're just trying to, you know, uh, meet somebody on their terms or something?
I totally understand the question, and there might be some instances, but again, I think I just recognized because I did my husband is a very big and strong man, so it's not like I had this little ring in his nose and led him all around, but yet I did, I guess.
Well, because 'cause you're a strong woman and you have your own business,
Yeah,
and he had
I
his
guess
own.
so.
And, like, with the kids, it sounded like you guys were very much logistics oriented, you know?
Yes, yes, and running my own business basically since I was, like, 23,
Yep.
that's all day, every day, being the boss, basically, so I had no issue with, just making decisions as quick as you can, and so I really didn't. Were there some times that it felt fake? Absolutely. Some things coming out of my mouth, I think, might have been the hardest thing for maybe being vulnerable, that might have been maybe one of the hardest things for me. Um, Listening was hard for me as I learned, as I went. He liked to talk a lot, liked to explain to me over and over, to say the same thing about what he was feeling and what was going on in his own head. And he would want to, we'd sit and it could take 45 minutes of the same thing. And I would interject and I would not be quiet. And my coach at the time, she said, you just need to be quiet and you need to nod your head and do not interrupt and do not, you know, if he stops talking, just don't say anything. And she said, it might be 5 minutes, but he will come back. There's something going on in his head and he will come back. Very shortly after that, uh, we were in a very small car in a truck stop for 2 hours while he was having one of those conversations and me just biting my tongue. And it's exactly how she said it was. You could see when he stopped talking, you could see on his face something was clicking in there. And in my head, it was going, "Don't open your mouth, don't say anything, don't say anything, don't say anything." And then all of a sudden he'd talk again. He'd just kind of pick up either right where he left off or with a whole new topic. Like he didn't even notice that we were sitting there for however long. One time it was literally 10 minutes because
Wow,
I was watching. I'm like, this, and no, it didn't phase him.
that is crazy.
Yes, but it's like how they say, like there's this difference between things that I would say that I had no idea were controlling, but he was thinking they were controlling.
Yep.
Because I didn't say, "You can't do this, and you can't do that, or you can't buy this, or you can't go there." I didn't do any of that stuff, but definitely things or the way I worded things, um, I could then see how he would take them as me maybe being more directive and not being a good listener and not receiving. Um, so yeah, I not not as much and they explain that to you too, I guess, that I can't remember exactly what the words were when you asked the question, but, kind of feeling resentment, like, why am I being the one
Oh,
to
did
change
you feel safe?
when he's the one that's, in our opinion, messing up?
Yep.
But I didn't really, especially at the beginning when I knew there was so much work that I could do, and I so quickly saw results, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, very quickly saw results. So that was kind of exciting for me because and even just for myself, irregardless of him, it was feeling really good for me to be the better person, and in particular, the control thing. Uh, it feels amazing to just not have to worry about figuring everything out. I don't have to decide everything. I don't have to be on top of everything. I can just say, "Eh, whatever you think," and literally let it go. And after a whole life of deciding everything and putting out every fire at work, at home, everywhere, that is such a relief for me. I love that part. And I will continue to do that forever.
Have the girls noticed a change?
Yes, I think so. She's the oldest one isn't around that much. The oldest one has been very negatively affected by her in the middle position. At the moment, it's really quite bad. But the younger one definitely has seen differences, very complimentary and, taking some notes on, how to maybe interact better herself, I guess, or in a more positive way. She's a much better human than I am all around, which is awesome. But yeah, I think that I really hope, I really pray that my girls um will be able to see that it's worth it to stand for your family
Mhm.
and for your husband, especially as my oldest is just now newly engaged. I pray it does never happen for her, but that they see that it's worth it, and that because it's so easy everywhere, the entire culture is walk away. You deserve better than that. He's whatever names they want to call him. And that is a fight to
Mhm.
fight against pretty much the rest of the world to stand for your marriage that you feel is important. I'm sure there's some that you shouldn't stand for. I'm sure of that. But I definitely believe that mine is. So,
Did did he, do you think he started becoming more sensitive, in the way you guys communicated when he started to, oh, yeah, you did, I wrote that down. Started to become super sensitive and work out all the time, and that
mm,
sort of coincides so maybe the way you guys had been interacting before, but now he needed since becoming super sensitive, he needed you to be the new version.
yeah, he definitely needed a new version of me. And also that this stuff about the AP, whatever was happening on the other side, um, all they do is tell them all the amazing things about themselves and
Mhm.
make them feel super important, and there is no responsibility and stuff on that side. So, I'm sure it was a breath of fresh air when I quit. I'm sure. So, which confused him. It very much confused him because, as I said, it was people don't change. We don't need to work on this. We just need to be done because people don't change. And now he will say, "You did change. I believe that you changed. I believe that this, it's not like a facade, I guess. It's not she did it and she can hold this for a while, but she'll go back to the way she was." Those kinds of things. So that's a big switch, big switch. And I believe that about myself too. Through my own counseling, I had to revisit a lot of things from my childhood, things that I was aware of my whole life, basically, but I just needed to face them and kind of understand them, release myself of them, um, which also helped make me more open and made our relationship better. Um, my husband now in this last phase that I will talk about is him working on himself. He had all kinds of childhood things that he was not aware of. Lots of things everybody else could see, including myself, but he didn't. And so now they are surfacing for him and he's figuring them out, figuring out how those affected who he was and how he became the person that he is now, kind of deal. So that's for him. That's not necessarily I can't say that that's good or bad for our relationship. That's just plain old good for him,
Yeah, that's
hopefully.
definitely good for him. Do you think he had repressed things or just, buried things?
Um, no. One of the big things that would come across would be that he was very codependent and his mom and dad got divorced like many do, and for whatever reason, he took it upon himself to try and be sure that everybody got along. Um, his mom, his dad, his sisters, he never wanted any confrontation. He he might kind of sort of voice his opinion and now I realize now I can see this in our marriage. Things that I thought that we maybe had talked about and talked through and agreed upon. Something simple like the purchase of a couch. And, he wants one thing, I want another thing. And I think we've dwindled it down to a compromise. But really, he was just giving in. And he's very resentful of that now. And so he did a lot of that stuff. He did that played into raising of our kids. Um, that I didn't see. I can see that now. So it had a lot to do with a lot of things that are surfacing.
He
Oh,
ever realized that he, could have spoken up? But because he's a peacemaker, I guess that's why he didn't
people
wanna
peop
create
people pleaser, yeah. It was just what was inside of him. I don't even know if he was wishing that he could, if he just didn't even realize it or know at all. That's just who he was, I guess. But it was not serving him well, it was not serving our marriage well, it was not serving our kids well, and it's not like a terrible thing to be. Obviously, trying to make sure everybody's happy is not a terrible thing to be, but when you don't realize what's happening, somehow it turned out to be a negative thing. And that along with my hyper independence and what we'll continue to call control, those two things didn't mesh well. So that's created friction.
Wow, and you sort of it sounds like this was rolled out over time, the acknowledgement of this, because in the beginning, you didn't realize.
No,
It
this is recent. Yeah, this is very recent, like, in the last, like, 4 months, probably.
really? How's
Mhm.
that? Like, because he is talking about it?
Yes, he's telling me some of the thing I mean, not a lot, but he's telling me some of the things that he's learning about himself. Now, he's not connecting it necessarily back to our marriage, or at least he's not saying that out loud, but
Mhm.
I can definitely connect it back to different things in our marriage.
So it sort of sounds like to me that maybe he's coming a little bit out of his situation, a little bit out of the tunnel. I don't know if he was really ever in a real tunnel.
I think he was in a tunnel. Um, I definitely think he was in a tunnel, and there have been a few things. I always hoped that the tunnel would be, "Ta-da, you're out." Like
Right,
some
right.
way. I'm not experiencing that at the
If
moment.
we were to create the tunnel and everything, yeah, we would have it like that. Boom.
Yeah, you
But
just come off the end, right?
exactly. But yeah, there's so much back and forth.
Yes. But so a couple things in this realization of him never wanting any confrontation and stuff, I have heard him say a few times, I need to have a difficult conversation with someone. He's like, "This is gonna be very uncomfortable for me, and it's going to sting a little bit, but I need to express. I can't be what I used to be where I would just go along with things and I wouldn't say what I really, really feel. I need to tell this person exactly what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, because it's important or whatever." And, I'm recognizing that from all the things that we've learned, it was kinda like, "Oh, this is a good sign." You know, that's a leaning towards the king thing, and so I got a little bit excited about that. A little bit excited about learning about yourself and, becoming, I don't know, lack of better words, better person, better understanding of yourself, hoping. And I guess so long as I can see him making effort, and I I do believe that what he really, really would like is to be able to come home. I do believe that. Um, he'll say some silly things like, there'll be this great moment and then he'll get this look on his face and as he's getting ready to leave and he'll say something like, "I'm not gonna be screwed up forever. I'm not gonna be screwed up forever." It's
Wow, he says
like,
that?
yeah, he's
Doesn't that just break your heart?
yes, it does. Because it's like, but I analyze everything. You're not supposed to analyze everything. People tell me that's because I'm a Virgo. I have no idea, but I analyze everything. Why else would he say that unless what he's really trying to do is return?
Mhm.
And I get along with everything else. There's a whole bunch of the time he is just not himself. And but there are moments of clarity. Most recently, actually, he said, "I just want to be able to make a decision so I can feel honorable. I don't like myself and I don't feel honorable. I keep finding myself in places that are not honorable." I thought that was pretty big too.
Mhm.
And what's wrong with me? I've heard that a lot.
When he
Y-
says that, what do you say?
Um, not much. I was saying, just be
Oh,
quiet,
I
just
guess just that
acknowledge,
be
just
quiet,
acknowledge.
not
I think the honorable thing, and I think I made a mistake here if you try to listen to what everybody says, but when he said, I just want to be honorable. I think I said, "Do you want to know what's honorable? Is that you recognize it and you're owning it and you want to be better." I think I said, "I think what you're supposed to do is just say, 'I'm sure that's very hard,' or something like that." But I have a hard time keeping my mouth closed all the time. Can't do it all the time. Try really hard though. And I am so much better. So, so much better. But I guess I have to add too, one of the things is like, how in the world do you stay here for 5 years? And definitely one is to continue to see progress, what I believe to be progress. And my husband is loving all the time. I've never had that, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I've never had that. Mine has always been, I love you. I will always love you. Um,
Did he ever monster and have, shark eyes?
I was thinking about that the other day. I feel like I have seen him a few times, but on the contrast, many, many, many times I see sparkly eyes. I see the eyes that are my husband that loves me and is looking at me with admiration and, you know, the deep love, the one you can't it's just there. It's just inside of you and it's coming out of his eyes.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just have to look away because it's like if that's what's in there, what's the problem?
Yeah.
What is the problem? But anyway, I also just feel this really strong sense that I've got to say one of the biggest, biggest, biggest reasons I'm still here is absolutely God. Um, he's always been in my life to a degree, but our relationship right now has grown so much. Um, I am so much more aware of him being around all the time. And they always say when things are horrible and you're desperate, that's when your relationship grows. And that's for sure. But I always, people say, God told me this, or God, I'm like, I don't think God doesn't really talk to people. And I believe that he does communicate with people. He has never talked to me. Uh, but he has many times, um, made things happen for me. Some little things, some really big and undeniable things, that I cannot ignore. Um, simple things like placed people in your path, introduce you to people that maybe are in the same kind of boat that you can help. I went to a retreat, a little bit of a weird retreat one time with people from around the country, and you weren't supposed to talk to each other. It was a silent kind of a thing. But there was a lady during a session, she was expressing what her situation was. And I'm like, wow, that is so much like mine. And at the end, I wrote down my name and I wrote down my number. And like, I went up to her and I'm like, I know we're not supposed to do each other, but here's my name and number if you ever want to reach out to me. And that lady lives about 2 miles from where I work in my town. And that was crazy in the same spot. Same life spot,
Wow.
and that was like, wow, wow.
So that's sort of
'Cause
a God thing. And
she could have been from she could have been from New York. She could have
yeah,
been from anywhere, not
have you guys been able to
on
help each other support-wise,
yeah.
you know?
Yes, yes, absolutely. We have become very good friends. We meet, we talk, we support. She's amazing. Um, we sometimes her relationship goes in a completely different direction and sometimes mine doesn't, but we still really help each other out and I'm so thankful for her.
How's
Yeah.
her situation going?
Not very good at the moment.
Mm.
Hers is really kind of going off the deep end and you can see that he's going in a bad direction that is not going to work out for him, which is kind of hard to watch. But I think that I think that if in the end it does not work, that she will be able to say she did everything that she could. She will be able to feel inside herself she did everything and be able to be okay with that.
Mhm.
And I think that's important.
Mhm. It is.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, it sounds
But
like you guys is your paths crossed for a reason. Hey,
I
I
think
have a
so.
question. 'Cause I had,
Yes.
a call from a friend that I think her husband, we think he's going through a midlife crisis, and he's not in a tunnel yet, and, I gave her some suggestions, similar to what you had said, but do you have any of you wanna summarize some of those tips? Like, maybe, um, you know, letting them lead a little bit?
Oh, like some of the Laura Doyle
Uh-huh.
basics?
Mhm.
Um, wow. I so she's got her 6 intimacy skills, which I think if you just basically Googled those, not even into the deep part, but just basically Googled those, you make me have to really think. Um, the listening part was really big, and just to be
Oh, not
quiet.
talking.
Yes, not talking. Or one of my things was he would start talking, we both own our own businesses, right? So he would start talking about something at work, and then something would resonate with me. So then I'd start talking and say, "Oh, I had that same thing, or I had something similar," but I wouldn't let him finish what he was saying. And I just need to be quiet, and I need to nod my head or say, "I understand," or "That's interesting," or "That must be hard," or just let him talk and just bite back whatever I have to say. I don't need to say it. And if I do need to say it, I can wait till he's done. That was really big for me. Um, the can't remember all of them. I needed to receive better. I needed if I got a compliment, I needed to just say thank you. Not oh, your hair looks really nice today. Not say thank you, but man, it was so humid out today that it just, fell right back down. I just needed to say thank you. He would say himself, he's like, I quit giving you compliments because every single thing had a but after it.
Wow. And this is
Uh-huh.
something he told you in the last few months?
He probably told me that like 2 years ago. That one was pretty big and obvious. Yeah. So just thank you. Or if I got a gift, be gracious and say thank you no matter what it is. If he gives you a handful of poo, be really appreciative of it. Go throw it away later, whatever, but thank you so much for whatever it is because he thought about it, figured it out, gave it to you, and in his mind, it's great. And that's super important. Um the control thing, I can't remember exactly all of that because it's beyond just, "You can't do this and you can't do that." It's the way you say things, like, you're not supposed to say "you" and "we," things like that. So I really had to learn kind of a different language.
Wait, don't say you and we?
Yeah, because they're directive. So don't say,
Instead of saying
we need to go to the grocery store to get a loaf of bread." Instead, maybe it should be something like, um, "Wow, in order to make the sandwiches," I know I'm gonna say "we" again. "In order to make the sandwiches, we really are gonna have to get some bread." But one is like saying, "You need to do this," and the other one is kind of acknowledging that we're out of bread,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
I guess just saying, "Oh, shoot, there's no more bread."
Yes, something oh, yes, that's better. Thank you. That's much better.
But, it's so to me, it feels like, "Oh my gosh, you gotta be so, on guard about what you say," you know?
It is like learning a completely different language. It really is. And but it's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. And I do have to think and think and think. And my husband doesn't live at home, so I have more thinking time or to write things down and erase it and write it down again. Texting, I like texting because I can put it down, erase it, put it down, rather than he walks into the room and poof, now you have to just talk to him right away. So that is helpful, but yeah, definitely not. use, not wheeze. Try to stay away from those. It's also if you say it out loud, you can hear it, which is kind of weird, but you can hear it if you say it out loud rather than just in your head. Um, what else? What are ones that I missed? Oh, self-care is one of them, which I know is super, super important. I'm terrible at it. I am still terrible at it, but probably I should still say you need to do your self-care, whatever that is for you.
And for you, it's
And,
years,
uh,
years. That is a long
mhm,
time, Jenny.
it is a long time. It's definitely a long time. But like I said, I see progress as I go. It's worth it to me. And uh, I undoubtedly believe that this is the path that God has me on, and He's keeping me here. I have one. My most recent God wink is like, okay, I got it. I got it. This is what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. So it's kind of a long story. I could tell you on a different day.
Okay. Well,
It is. It's like one like whoa. Okay, that is a God wink. Yeah.
you can't give us a little the summary of the God wink?
Oh, but I can tell you the whole story if you want to hear it.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So, thank you for joining us today, you guys. That was part 1 with Jenny, and our next episode is gonna be part 2, where you're gonna hear her God wink story, and, I think you'll all agree it's pretty encouraging and most interesting, so, alright, we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for joining us. Bien, you guys forward moving spouses, you are not alone. Left behind spouses, you are not alone. Those in crisis, you are certainly not alone. This is just crazy how epidemic this has become. I have a waiting list now of people from around the world that I'm trying to get to. And if you've been through a midlife crisis or been impacted by someone else's and you want to share your story, I'd love to hear from you. Hang in there, you guys. I will get to all of you. Please reach out to me at mlcbombdrop@gmail.com and visit us on Facebook and Instagram, MLC Bomb Drop. Um, and just remember, your voice matters. Your story could be the one that helps someone else feel seen. It could help someone else feel heard. And you know, it will help somebody else feel understood. You are not alone, no matter where you are in your journey. If the bomb was just dropped, the earthquake just happened, if you are 7 or 8 years in and you're coming out of starting to wake up and awaken to this, um, you are not alone. It's sad that this is epidemic, but we're here to provide support. So until next time, take care and live authentically each and every day. Thanks again, you guys.